starting my eyes a little bit, it's because I am looking at you guys here at Periscope as well as my other webcam, and we're doing a Google Hangout as well. So for those of you guys who are not familiar with me, I am Safrina Kadri, and I am a classical feng shui consultant, and I help my clients achieve peak financial flow in their life as well as in their business. Mitch, you said you're still in the garage, so you're just coming out of your car, getting home. Well, I'm glad that I could be the last person you speak to before you go to bed. It sounds like so. Thank you. It's been a while since I've seen you on my scope. Well, it's been a while since I've been on a scope, but I just went to Vegas a few days ago, and I got back to Toronto, and that was for a business. I guess it's a mastermind with a whole bunch of other high level, like serious in terms of what they want to do and what they want to achieve, excuse me, in their life and in their business. And I'm coming home still kind of in a high, but with a lot of information that I want to implement in my business. And it gave me the prompt, I guess I should say, to do this scope. And the title is How Do You Gain a Competitive Advantage in Business and Also in Life? And it got me to, thank you for the hearts, everyone. I'm going to be asking for more hearts if you like what, or if you're resonating with what I'm talking about. So it got me to thinking, obviously, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, how do I gain competitive advantage, not only among other feng shui consultants, but as a business as a whole? And I've seen other patterns in my life where I realized in situations where I got the best outcome possible is when I was looking for an angle that made me a little bit different from other people. And I would love for you guys to share with me how you feel you have gained, in what area in life have you gained that competitive advantage, and what kind of results it gave you. So why do we need that competitive advantage? Because there are billions and billions of people in this world, and whether you own a business or whether you work for someone else, success really depends on how you stand out. And how do you do that? We're in a sea of other people doing very similar things that you do, right? Either on your career path or in your business, other people who do the same products or the same services that you do. How do you put yourself forth in that? Rec 5767, not a problem. Hopefully you will be right back. And we have quite a few viewers on Hangout as well, so that's great. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. Yes, so in terms of gaining competitive advantage, visibility is key. Now, a lot of people think, because I've been a feng shui consultant, people think that, and by the way, for those of you guys who are not familiar with feng shui, I'll give you a nutshell in terms of what it is. So feng shui is a ancient Chinese wisdom where we can calculate what kind of energy is in a space. Is it a prosperous energy? Is it maybe that space even has an energy that's not so prosperous, right? Sometimes when you hear people, let's say they move into a new house and they're like, I don't know, man, ever since we moved into a house, things just started falling apart. My husband and I, we started arguing more. Maybe we started getting sick a little bit more. Maybe someone lost their job, or maybe business wasn't doing good. That usually means that the space that they are in doesn't have abundant, prosperous space to help them in terms of getting better luck in health, in relationships, and in business, or career, right? So feng shui is an ancient study where we can actually calculate what's going on space-wise. You can call me the space whisperer if you want. And if there are negative energies anywhere, with feng shui, we can remedy it. And on the flip side, if there's auspicious positive energy, then with feng shui you can activate that a little bit more. So people think just because I'm a feng shui consultant, then things that are going to be hunky-dory 100% of the time. I wish that was the case, but I'm going to let you down a little bit that feng shui is not magic, it's not voodoo. It's helping me working with the energy of my space so that I do get better opportunities coming around. Leland says, woo, made it to one of my live streams. So Leland's on YouTube. Hey, Leland. You guys on watching the Google Hangout, you can comment, by the way, and I'm going to see that as well. So with me, even in my 6-7 years as a business consultant, actually almost 8 years now as a feng shui consultant, I still need to think like an entrepreneur, not just as a feng shui consultant. I still need to think in terms of how do I make, hi Studio 31 Salon, thanks for joining. How do I make my consulting business stand out? Because I did build it part-time for 6 years, but when I went full-time 2 years ago, like this is not a hobby business anymore. I need to be seriously focused on how do I make my business stand out? Because if you don't stand out, especially in business, you guys, if you don't stand out, you will stay as the best kept secret in the world for your industry. And that's not where you want to be. Because if you're a secret, your clients are not going to be able to find you. And how are they going to give you money in exchange for your product or service if they can't find you? So my competitive advantage is I learned about social media. I learned about especially Facebook, and I learned about video marketing. And if you guys are in business and you're not doing video, be it Periscope or webinars or even like pre-taped videos, it doesn't have to be live streaming, you are leaving a lot of money on the table. Because I would say at this point, probably, I mean, it's just my data, but from the other entrepreneurs or business owners that I've been talking to, it seems like it's still like almost 90% of business owners are not on video as yet. So if you want to gain that competitive advantage, that's what you need to do. Even in, let's say, dating, what's your competitive advantage, right? You know, for me, I can only talk about me because so my husband and I, we've been together for 14 years. And however, prior to us meeting, I was so sick and tired of the dating scene. My average was 4 first dates a week. So it wasn't from the lack of putting myself out there. I was definitely out there, right? My competitive advantage, and taking dating into like almost like a business metaphor, is that I made sure that my package was properly marketed in front of the right audience so that what I am prepared to offer is what my audience wants. So I had a personal profile on Yahoo Personals. I don't think they're around anymore. This is 14, 15 years ago. Yahoo Personals, and my bio, again, taking it as a business analogy, it's almost like a sales page, right? I had a photo, a nice photo, and my title pretty much was, I'm one who can party on a Saturday night and bake muffins on a Sunday morning. I have to admit that headline gained a lot of interest, but that really who I was. At that, I was 22. I was about 22 at that time. I got married. Yeah, anyway. I was 22 at that time, so I can party up a storm, right? University student. But at the same time, I can be the homey, you know, lounging in the couch kind of girl as well. So, you know, I wanted someone who was prepared for that, right? So then my husband saw my profile. We had our first date mid-November 2000. I want to say 2002. Yes, we got married 10 months after our first date, and we're still married. Because he saw my ad, he saw my bio, And that was the competitive advantage. In terms of him, he wanted also someone who had that combination of fun and yet not seriousness, but fun and stability at the same time. He loves my cooking, by the way. I think I spoiled him for other women. But that was my competitive advantage in dating. And years ago, when I was still building my consulting business part-time, I was not really happy in my job. It was great. It paid the bills, right? How many of us know that? It paid the bills. We're comfortable. We don't want to rock the boat. But you know what? I was dragging myself out of bed every morning, and it was not a good feeling. I wasn't too ready to take my feng shui business full time as yet. So what I did was I started putting my feelers out there. So my competitive advantage was in terms of as a career person, I researched the heck out of the companies that I was that I wanted to apply to. I looked at their company website, their videos if they have it. I really turned it inside out. And I narrowed it down to 5 companies, right? 5 companies. And what's my competitive advantage in this point? I called each of those 5 companies. I asked for the hiring manager for these positions. Some of them were like, oh, just email it to me. I'm like, yes, I will email, but I would still like to know the hiring manager's name. Now, why do I need this? That's when I took the name, I put it on an envelope, I printed my resume out in color because the way I did my resume was a little bit different. You know, black and white wasn't good enough for me. I put some, not like whatever, it's, you know, like how I highlighted my name in a different color, right? Let's say orange or whatever. And the companies that I used to work for, and also the company that I was working for presently, I had their logo on one side of the page, and I had like their client quotes of clients raving about me on that page. If you guys want to know the way to do this resume, you look up this book called Guerrilla Job Hunting 2.0, I think that's the title. But anyway, so I emailed the resume, but I also mailed it out. I FedExed it. All these 5 companies, I dropped about $20 each to FedEx my resume. And out of the 5 resumes, I got 3 callbacks. Out of the 3, 2 gave me a second interview. Both of them gave me job offers. And this was at a point where people were finding it hard to find work. And I was actually in a position where I could choose which companies I want to go to. So, and I have to admit, I think about maybe a year. Oh, so when I did the first interview with one of the companies, he was like, the hiring manager was like, you know what? The office was abuzz when your resume came in FedExed. Because you know why? Once they received it and they signed for it through the tracking number, I can actually find out that it's there. And I actually did call to confirm that it's there. That's my competitive advantage as a career person. That was how I stood out compared to other people. So, and about a year or so later, we bumped into each other again, and the hiring manager's wife actually got let go. And he was mentioning to her my tactic, or the tactic that I learned from that book. And he said, you know what? You should try this because it definitely put your name on top of all the other candidates, right? So in business, in life, in career, whatever it is that you want to do, main question is, how do you stand out? Because really, if you're missing this one key, in my opinion, you're just allowing yourself to swim against the current needlessly. Just be a little bit smart in terms of your strategy, right? And any effort that you put in, I guarantee you will come back many times full. You will, it does take a little bit more time to gain that competitive advantage, right? But once the foundation is there, then you are set. Okay? Anyway, that is my scope. I wanted to keep it quick, but hopefully that inspires you guys to really think about what it is that you can do different from the others in life, in your relationships, in your health, in your career. The same advice can be applicable to any area in our lives. So thank you so much for um, thank you so much for watching, you guys. And again, if I am new to you, please subscribe to me either on YouTube. Hey, Mitch, you're still here. Thanks so much. I think you need to go back to bed. It's probably what, 5:30 a.m. in Philippines now. I'll see you on my next scope. Hopefully, I'll try to do it a little bit earlier. If you haven't subscribed to me on YouTube, for those of you who are watching me on Google Hangout, please do so. And 5:10 a.m. in the Philippines. Oh, thank you so much. And if you're not yet following me either on Periscope or Twitter, I will be Studio 32 Salon. Are you Ellen? I'm not sure. Ellen, or is that Nikki? Let me know who you are. But thank you. Yeah, so I am really pumped. I will. Oh, Nicole. Hey, Nikki. How's it going? Yeah, so for my next few scopes, I will be putting a little bit more attention in terms of how you combine feng shui, metaphysics, or spiritual tools and mindset and hardcore methodologies in building your life and building especially your business. So hopefully this resonated with you guys. Thank you so much for the hearts. And I think I hear my daughter stirring right now in her room, so I need to go get her. I do have a 4-year-old. If you guys don't see the baby swing right behind me that I was trying to cover with my body. Anyway, I'll, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully we'll reconnect again in my next hangout or in my next scope. And you guys have a wonderful day ahead.